Hello, slimes and non-slimes alike. Rosa here. And today I bring to you a build that doesn't use 500 aura reading perks. I know, a novel concept when playing the Judgment on the PTB. But that's not why I'm showing this game, actually. So if you haven't already, Super Elf put out a video showcasing the Judgment's ability to patrol generators with their power Divine Light, and compared it to Chess Merchant, the strategy where Merchant could stall out a game for quite literally an hour when the servers would then, quite literally, just time out and automatically give the killer the win. A strategy that they try to replicate in-game with the Judgment using a very specific build. And while I will agree that the Judgment is good at surveying generators, comparing it to Chess Merchant is a bit extreme. Because the thing about Chess Merchant was that there was quite literally nothing the survivors could do. The Skull Merchant had 24/7 surveillance on the survivors' base kit, and was able to fully dedicate their builds to ensuring that survivors couldn't complete generators. The Judgment can't do that. The Judgment needs to run very specific perks and add-ons in order to even replicate a small fraction of what Skull Merchant was able to do during that era. And I feel like it's very disingenuous to go ahead and say that, you know, the Judgment is going to be the next version of Skull Merchant with this going on, because it's just dumb. The comparison's dumb. Like, yeah, Judgment's good at patrolling generators. Doesn't make her able to stall the game for the entire fucking match. Especially since in the video that Super Elf did, he didn't really win the match because he stalled out the timer. He won the match because the survivors stopped healing and was able to get multiple downs and just kind of slug for the 4K. He didn't win through stalling the match, he won through slugging. Which, yeah, slugging on a killer like Judgment is extremely strong because she can't really go across the entire map to pick up the people she sniped. It's honestly one of her bigger weaknesses, her lack of mobility making her unable to, you know, go pick up the downs in a similar fashion to, like, twins. However, what makes the Judgment really, really powerful, in my opinion, is the fact that she has high lethality with low mobility, and we see what that does to other killers like Nurse. Nurse is a great example, in my opinion, for what I'm trying to illustrate here. Nurse has the highest, arguably the highest lethality in the game. However, that lethality comes at a price of having literally no mobility. While she can use her blinks for mobility, it's extremely difficult for her to get that to, you know, work. Especially since she only has 2 and they constantly keep nerfing the range of her blinks. So she can't particularly go around and use her blinks to cover the map in a, you know, like 2 seconds. What this tends to result in is that the Nurse will typically play around hooks or generators. You know, areas of interest where she can guarantee that survivors will approach her without needing to go commit to anything herself. This allows the Nurse to absolutely abuse the hell out of her high lethality, as well as making it sort of mitigate the issue she has with her low mobility. The Judgment, in my opinion, is in a very similar boat. Having high lethality but low mobility means that the Judgment will naturally be wanting to stay in the same places in order to capitalize on survivors going to where they want, in order to capitalize on that high lethality. That's why patrolling generators on the Judgment is super strong. It's just inherent to how the design of highly lethal powers with no mobility works. A killer like Blight with high lethality and high mobility naturally doesn't need to patrol 3 generators because they can be anywhere at any time all at once. The Judgment can't really do that, so they have to default to a strategy that limits the options where survivors are so that they can then capitalize on it. Is this necessarily a problem? Not really. I think many people are blowing this out of proportion. The Judgment isn't as strong at holding down generators as people seem to think she is. Naturally, of course, if you're running a build that gives you perfect information on generators, for example, if you're running something like Surveillance or Hive Mind with something like Ruin, yeah, naturally that's going to be very strong on the Judgment. But, like, anything else, if this was just the Judgment with no perks, she can't really do anything. The issue with Skull Merchant was that, you know, Skull Merchant's very kit by itself was able to hold down generators for an hour with no issue. The Judgment can't do that. The Judgment needs to run very specific builds and add-ons in order to make that even a fraction of what Skull Merchant was, especially in this day and age with anti-regen measures in the game. So yeah, that's my thought on the matter. Anyways, onto the build. I'm running Unforeseen, Oppression, Layaways, and Surveillance, and I land a nice double tap. But the reason why I decided to run this build was because I was kind of getting bored of running the same few aura reading perks like Celestial Witness or Zanshin Tactics. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to shake things up a bit. I'm going to go ahead and, you know, run something a bit unique, maybe take advantage of one of the new teachable perks. You know, stuff like that. Also, I don't know how, but I somehow managed to hit 2 people on 2 different floors on that double tap, as you see me just walk up the stairs. And I somehow managed to hit the Aurora the second they came out of exile. As you can see, they are currently in deep wounds. But, like, it's very fun. This build in particular, I'm not too sure on. I'm probably going to switch it up when the game goes live. Because I'm not really feeling Unforeseen on this build, I'm going to be honest. I do like stealth on the Judgment, primarily to help me, like, get the drop on survivors. But I don't think Unforeseen is the perk I want to run. I think I might want to run some other stealth perk, maybe. But, God, what else was I going to talk about? Oh, yeah. I haven't really been focusing on making add-on specific videos, even though that, like, this would be a perfect time to cover how, like, the blue add-on lets you pull the beam towards you without having to do a 180 flick, which honestly is about as bad as I thought it would be when I made my initial video on it. Not my initial video on it. When they initially revealed the add-on in the community live stream, I made a short video going like, yeah, this add-on's probably going to be bad compared to just 180 flicking. And yeah, I still largely stand by that. The add-on is just kind of garbage compared to just doing a 180 flick. But I do plan on making videos surrounding specific add-ons for the Judgment. I'm just going to wait for the Judgment to go live before I do that, because I want to do the 100 games of Judgment so that I can get my, you know, have more experience with the add-ons before I actually begin to, like, talk about them. So, just one of those things where I'm holding off until I have more experience with the character, is all. It's hard to make content on this killer, because it's like, oh yeah, I want to make so much content on this killer, and it's like, huh, I should probably know more about this killer before I try to make content on this killer. As you can tell, the survivors have been stuck at 2 generators for a while here, and that's primarily because they did not complete the 2 center generators. As you can see, the bottom generator on the main area, lobby area, like right here, is still not done because I've been patrolling that like fucking ever. And then there's 2 other generators on the other side of the building. It's just kind of how you play RPD. Like, this sort of 3-gen is something any killer could pull off and stall out the game for an extremely long time. And I think the survivors realized that, oh shit, they have a 3-gen on this side of the building, and, you know, sort of stopped going to the generator I just went to, because it's like, if they don't get this 3-gen out of the way, they just lose the game. Holding this 3-gen is my win condition, and it's a win condition any killer can make. It's not something specific to the Judgment. The Judgment in this scenario is probably better at holding this 3-gen, just because they can hit the generator on top without having to go upstairs, but you'll still see me go upstairs to check on the progress. Just because, you know, in case I need to kick it with a Layaways or something. But, yeah, no, this killer's so much fucking fun, man. And I feel that, like, this whole comparing it to original Skull Merchant is going to cause behavior to overreact and then nerf the killer in a way that, like, no one wanted. Because, like, if they completely neuter the range of this killer in a way that doesn't, like, make any sense... Also, I'm pretty sure the Aurora was on the bottom floor here. If they just, like, completely neuter this killer out of fear of, you know, reincarnating chess merchant, I'm gonna be very upset, I'm not gonna lie, because there are so many other things that need to be addressed about the Judgment. For example, the unnecessarily high skill floor that this killer has. Because why is performing a 180 flick necessary for this killer to be effective at close range? Also, you can see that they broke my mains regen in the background. But like, why is that? Why are we're drawing so much attention to the wrong thing? I feel like the Judgment definitely needs adjustments, but I feel like if we draw too much attention to this behavior, we're going to change the wrong things about the Judgment, and so what we're going to end up with is still a very high skill character that no one can really play, and we're going to end up with a killer who can't do anything because you just created a fucking killer who can't do anything because they over-nerfed her, and she's still insanely difficult to play, and yada yada yada. I've said this like 3 times now, I'm just really bad at articulating what I want to say. But yeah, that mainly wraps up what I wanted to say about the issue. I feel like the reaction is going to be overblown, and it's going to cause some unnecessary nerfs to the killer when there are some things that need to be addressed. But besides that, this game is going pretty well. I go ahead and get the down here. Unfortunately, she's not exiled, but I do see someone working on the generator right in front of me. They're still very much wanting to get this generator. I don't know why. Literally, the generator on the 2nd floor has never been touched, and I'm kind of confused as to why they do not try to go for that. I'm pretty sure the Aurora once again tries to hop on the generator a 3rd time after I scared them off. And yep, you see them running away. Like, they really want this generator, and I can't really blame them. I can't regress it anymore. But you can see the other Auroras on that top gen. I try to predict her, you know, hopping off and dodging, but I just miss. And I see this Aurora. I go ahead and I actually managed to land this shot. I did not think I landed that shot, but I'm pretty sure I landed that shot because I charged the pillar up enough for it to just instantly spawn on the survivor. Once again, change that. Just make it a flat percent across all charge levels. Stop trying to make it more complicated than it has to behavior. I will still stand by that. I still think that behavior should just make the beam a flat percent. I feel like the delay should be a flat number instead of like making it progressively lower the more you charge it in order to avoid things like that, because I did not believe that I actually land that flick if it wasn't for the fact that the beam instantly spawns in because I charged it. It should just straight up be a flat percent. I don't know. Flat number, I mean. I go ahead and manage to hit this Aurora. I don't know if I hit the other Aurora. I wasn't paying too much attention, but I think I hit the other Aurora in that clip too. I think that was a double tap. I'm not 100% certain on that though. Don't quote me. So yeah, there's 2 people dead, a 3rd person on death hook, and they've been on 2 generators for a majority of the match because they were trying to break the 3-gen I held on this side of the map. I can't really blame them. Go ahead, I hit this Aurora with the Mori, which I don't think I've showed off in a video yet, but like, this Mori is super sick. You reveal your true Eldritch Horror, and the survivors die in a blaze of glory. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. I love this killer so much. And then I believe the final Aurora just gets hatch at some point, I believe. But yeah, the Judgment's really good at patrolling generators, but I don't think it is strong enough to warrant them being nerfed. At least not drastically. I do think maybe a nerf to her range could work, but only if you, like, bring down her total reach in order to make her slightly better in closer ranges. But, that's besides the point. Aurora finds Hatch here, and, yeah, that ends the match. So I'll go ahead and I will see you all next time. Cheerio.